through its, let's say, teenage years, an important age to build character, resilience, and a will to achieve. These were exactly the years when Shri Sharat Kumar was at the helm. He shaped the institution, nurtured it, and was instrumental in creating the IMT that we see today. A number of faculty, staff, and alumni remember him fondly for the impact that he had on their lives. So, the first time when I came along here about 3 years ago, it was August as well, and one of my first responsibilities as director of this institution was to be a part of this celebration. And then that's when I got to know about Shri Sharat Kumar. I got to know about his life and times, got to know about how he impacted and still impacts IMT Ghaziabad in more ways than one. And of course, we have now spread our wings to many different regions in the south of India, in the middle of India, as well as abroad. He was a person with deep sense and understanding of relationships. His understanding of management was different to the others. He's obviously known for his novels, Orange Moon and Farewell Red Mansion. Shri Sharat Kumar served in the Indian Navy until 1966, after graduating from the National Defense Academy in 1956 itself. He once said that he's inspired to write fiction because it is a work of fiction that teaches us about emotions. Our formal education system caters only to the development of intelligence, he said. We learn about emotions unconsciously, silently through fiction. Aware of the limitations of the prevalent education system, much like our founder, Shri Mahendranath, he wanted IMT to be different and create a learning ecosystem that caters to the need of the reflective learner. He was instrumental in sowing the seeds that are manifested in the form of our vision, and which we all know is to be a leading management institution that contributes to the development of business and society through excellence in grooming, leadership, entrepreneurial talent, and research. We, of course, are, in a sense, far removed from a lot of orientation or, let's say, methods or technologies that we might have had in the 80s and the 90s. We may be technologically more advanced, right? Different courses, contemporary academic infrastructure. We might have a lot of courses that currently reflect maybe digital transformation. But the roots of all this lay in the hard work that was done during those initial stages of our journey. We do know, and something that was said quite some time back, is that we are like dwarfs sitting on the shoulders of giants. We see more and things that are more distant than they did, not because our sight is superior, but because we are taller than they, but because they raise us up, and by their great stature add to ours. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you and all the faculty here today. Your constant endeavors and relentless efforts to enhance the lives of our students and participants is very, very visible in the real world today. Yesterday itself, I was, in a conference, in a workshop, in a roundtable discussion, and lo and behold, I was moderating a panel which had one of our alumni from the batch of 2004, and he's, executive vice president, chief marketing officer of a very well-known, insurance organization. And, his points, his thoughts, his warmth towards the institution, as well as the people from the institution, was something that I would obviously cherish, and obviously he does too. This award today, instituted a couple of years ago in the memory of Shri Sharat Kumar, celebrates the undying efforts made by every one of you to craft the future of India, and might I add, the world. Thank you for everything you do every day. Last week, because I was in another part of the world, in Europe, I took that opportunity to have an alumni meet of IMT Ghaziabad in London, and many people turned up. And that's the reason why I say that, everybody spread their wings and moved on and doing a lot of monumental things, not only in this part of the world, but in other parts too. Thank you for everything that you do, whether it's faculty, whether it's the other people, the officers, the staff, every individual person that exists here does so because they want to, and does so because at the heart they have the core idea of transformation and transformation of the people who would be future leaders. You may be going through your trials and tribulations, situations, issues, stresses, but you never forget as faculty to come into a classroom with a smile and a mission to create utmost impact. I think that deserves a round of applause. Once again, I would like to thank everyone here. I would like to thank Dr. Das, who's come here to spend some time with us and talk about the evolving landscape of education as we go forward. Of course, we have a planned program. We'll have Shri Kumar joining us. We'll have Shri Kamalnathji joining us and sharing their moments of reflection as well as the experiences with Shri Sharat Kumar. So before we get into the actual program, I just quickly wanted to point out, and I hope the team is ready with that. Yeah. So the ma'am's on the phone, so she's trying to make sure that everything is fine when I announce. So we have in the last few years, what we have done is we've obviously instituted this award. We know why we gathered here today. And the idea here is to recognize and give back to the faculty who spend a lot of time with you, trying to create a lot more transformation, trying to ensure that your journey in these 2 years here is as smooth and as learning oriented as can be. So what we tend to do from last year onwards, we have 3 nominations, right? I will not let the cat out of the bag already, so I'll just announce the nominations so far. Okay, so we've had 3 faculty who've this time been selected through a rigorous process of selection. And these 3 faculty are in no particular order. First is Dr. Abhigyan Sarkar. I hope he's there. Dr. Abhigyan Sarkar is working as an associate professor of marketing at IMT. He offers courses on branding for minds and senses, integrated marketing communication, marketing analytics, business research methods, and marketing management at the PGDM level. He also offers a seminar course on brand management at the FPM level. His research interests include consumer brand relationship, brand love, and brand sacralization. Articles authored by him have appeared in reputed international journals like the European Journal of Marketing, the Journal of Brand Management, and the Journal of Business Research. He tries to engage in meaningful research and endeavors to carry the insights garnered from research on contemporary topics to the classroom discussion. All the best, Dr. Abhigyan. We then have Dr. Ashish Verma. He investigates how actors curate and consume accounting information. That's the best definition I could have come across of accounting research, Dr. Verma. His current research projects contribute primarily to the managerial accounting and control literature, which intersects with the digitalization and sustainability initiatives of firms. He delivers a specialized accounting seminar, framing management accounting research to doctoral candidates in IMT Ghaziabad, besides teaching financial accounting, management accounting, and mergers and acquisitions to postgraduate students. He believes in a learner-centric approach coupled with skill development for his students. I have experienced this firsthand. He has a rich academic experience, close to 25 years, and has a keen interest in sense-making of the role of digital technologies in shaping the world around us. We then have Professor Gurmeet Singh. He completed his PhD in operations a few years ago at IIM Lucknow. Prior to pursuing his PhD, he had an industrial experience of almost more than 6 years working with Tata Motors. There's a lot of things he's obviously done. He's someone who's hit the ground running when he came along to IMT a little bit more than a year back. Someone who's focused on ensuring that the learner experience in the classroom is as good as it can possibly be. He's published in peer-reviewed journals like the European Journal of Operational Research, Managerial and Decision Economics, and the Journal of Advanced Transportation. He's presented research at important conferences, whether in India, whether abroad. His research interests include green supply chain coordination, and Industry 4.0. His teaching interests are operations management, supply chain management, operations strategy, and sustainable operations management. Now, these are the three respected, esteemed faculty of IMT Ghaziabad who are nominated. And as mentioned before, the cat will hopefully be out of the bag in an hour's time, so we'll have to hold on till then. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for being a part of this celebration. And over to you, Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would like to begin this solemn ceremony by commemorating and paying our deep and sincere respect to late Shri Sharat Kumar for his immense contribution at the developing stage of IMT. As the director of IMT Ghaziabad from 1995 to 2002, and again as a chairman of the management committee from 2003 to 2005, he played a key role in augmenting the teaching environment of the institute. We have with us today Mr. Rahul Kumar, son of Shri Sharat Kumar, to take us through the life and philosophy of the late Shri Sharat Kumar. Mr. Rahul Kumar is presently the CEO of Everest Mechanical in Colorado, US. He is a business and financial professional with over 26 years of experience in global financial markets, entrepreneurship, infrastructure, and management within large multinational financial organizations. A very warm welcome to Mr. Rahul Kumar. I request him to kindly address the present audience.
Good afternoon. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hopefully I'm audible. I don't have any feedback.
Hello? Hello. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes,
Perfect.
sir.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon on this 4th anniversary of the Best Professor of the Year Award for IMT. I would like to start by thanking IMT, its trustees, the board, Vishalji, members of the faculty, and students for having put this together and continued the tradition of excellence of this fine institution over the many years. Ultimately, it is people that build institutions with foresight, thought, and energy, imbibing values that carry ideas forward and strengthen the pillars of current and future generations. To this end, the award of the Best Professor of the Year is fitting, as it is through the guidance and apt steering of an institution's students that these values are honed and built for generations, taking them forward from IMT to the larger world and putting them through to practical use there. Vishalji mentioned that he was in Europe and had a meeting with various IMT alumni. That is wonderful. I mean, this is actually exactly what institutions are meant to do, to sort of push forward the boundaries of excellence all over. And in that respect, we are honored to have this award in the memory of my father, Sharatji, tied to this award for teaching excellence. Vishalji had mentioned briefly a little bit about my father. I will add to it without actually, hopefully, boring all of you too much. Briefly to commemorate Shri Sharat Kumar and share a few words about him and his background. He graduated from the National Defense Academy in Khadagwasla in 1956, was commissioned to the Indian Navy on the INS Vikrant, where he spent 8 years, including 1 year on secondment to border roads in Sikkim, due to his childhood passion for the mountains. He resigned his commission in the Navy in 1966, joined the private sector, where he held several management positions in various organizations. He also served as the director of IMT, and it was under his leadership that IMT saw its rankings as an institute beginning to improve. As Vishalji said, it was in the early years, and I'm extremely happy and proud to see the strides IMT has made over the many years of its existence. He was a man that wore many hats. He had a passion for photography, writing, having written several books, both fiction and on management studies. He also produced and directed a movie and wrote a script for a TV series that ran 80 odd episodes on Doordarshan called Lal Kothi Alvida. He was truly a people person and was very passionate about working to get the best out of people around him, both at work as well as otherwise, happily spending hours on end talking to them and helping them out with any and every issue at hand. His father, my grandfather, Dr. D.N. Shastri, was an eminent Sanskrit scholar. So teaching and respect for teachers as a vessel for knowledge was a very strong force in our family. As such, it is very apt and generous of IMT to have this prestigious Teacher of the Year award in the name of my father. And we appreciate that very much. Sharat was a man who would remind everyone to live in the present, not the past or the future, as the present is shaped by your past and the future will be shaped to a large degree by the actions that you take in the present. Along the same lines of living in the present and grappling globally with the fallout from the recent past, I thought I'd share a few thoughts about what I see going on that perhaps is relevant to the larger sort of student population for IMT. And talk a little bit about the unwinds of what's happened through COVID and what we've seen and continue to see from there. Briefly touching on some issues that maybe have relevance to all of you. Going into this job market, both in India and perhaps globally. Last Friday, August 23rd, the BLS in the US revised what's called non-farm payroll growth. It was revised down by about 820,000 jobs for the period of the past 1 year, from March 23 this year March 24 this year to April 23 last year. This revision to total payroll is about 0.5% drop or revision, which was the largest in about 15 odd years. At the sector level, the biggest downturn came in the professional and business services, where job growth was reduced by $360,000 people, approximately, less than what was originally reported. To me, this unwind has continued and will continue for the next several months, even as expected. We get rate cuts in the next couple of weeks, expected September 12th in the US, which will have global repercussions. So in the global context, given the large degree of globalization, we are exposed to a lot of serious supply chain disruptions that took place over COVID. And the impact from the US will percolate everywhere with lags and, of course, local factors, which will mitigate situations to some degree or the other. The rush for tech jobs, working from home, which has continued to be unwound and normalized, again, from very uncharted territory, will continue. There will be balancing of books for governments because of the large spending that took place. And they will claw back excesses from supporting the economy and markets, and we are feeling the reverberations of that now and will continue to do so. So anecdotally, I saw some of these headwinds occurring in various pockets. I see some of these headwinds occurring here in India as well. I was back in India a few weeks ago and had learned that one of the large global MNC management consulting firms where my niece works cut 25% of his labor force in India as business had dried up. Effectively, a large number of consulting firms have private equity firms that are a large part of their clients. And a large part of clients, and as funding and valuations get tough, there are cuts. Obviously, this has not been helped by cases of the Paytm issue and the Byju's, which need case studies so others can learn from their missteps. So to prepare you for your path forward as you venture out to the workforce, I would like to share some excerpts from an article that I read recently in the Forbes magazine, titled "The 10 Biggest Business Trends for 24 Everyone Must Be Ready for Now." It's by a gentleman called Bernard Marr. I look to break down some of these points Amar makes between those that are out of an individual's control and those that perhaps are in an individual's control. The ones that we have no control over include generative AI everywhere. So AI and machine learning have been making waves for more than a decade and are thoroughly integrated into many of the products and services we buy from major companies.
Very dark. Just come here.
BCG asserts that to be an industry leader in 5 years, you need to have a clear and compelling generative AI strategy today. Areas of focus include using AI to create and intelligently automate the customer experience, as well as, of course, internal operations. The second point he makes is sustainable business and personalization at scale. So one driver is customer demand, as research continues to show that consumers increasingly prefer companies with solid commitment to reduce their environmental footprint. On the other hand, as green companies grow, we're learning that green solutions often lead to bottom line growth. For example, L'Oreal has developed personalized cosmetics to match consumer skin types. Nike and other manufacturers offer custom shoes in thousands of combinations and styles and colors. This leads to companies of all sizes offering customized solutions to build stronger relationships with customers while reducing wastage. The data economy. Data is an increasingly valuable business asset. By 2025, more companies will have streamline their operations and improve their customer offerings by taking a strategic approach to their data. As a result, they will be ready to take the next step, monetizing data itself, to drive new business opportunities. As access to large-scale data collection and AI-driven analytics becomes democratized, we'll see this trend developed and adopted by smaller companies in niche and diversified sectors as well. Resilience, ensuring an organization is protected from whatever threat is around the corner. That could mean cyber attacks, economic downturns, environmental events, war, global pandemics, or the emergence of a disruptive new competitor. It's all about what we learn from companies that have survived and even thrived in turbulent times and use it to plan and prepare for what might happen tomorrow. The customer experience revolution. So imagine a line on a graph that rates your customer sentiment at every point where they interact with your company, goods, or services. This illustrates the concept of customer experience. While traditionally the company might have built a business model around superior quality of value, going forward, the impetus is to ensure that every single interaction and experience makes the customer smile. This means personalized marketing that delivers what they need at the right time, on-time delivery, frictionless setup and installation, and efficient problem solving. As such, it's becoming increasingly common for companies and brands to appoint a chief experience officer to ensure these principles are fully integrated into all business strategies. Diversity and inclusivity. Talent comes in all ages, shapes, sizes, and colors. Unconscious, racist, sexist, or ageist bias can easily seep into systems around hiring, training, and performance management or development, resulting in talent being marginalized, mismanaged, or overlooked. There has been a business case for ensuring diverse and inclusive workforces, but in the age of AI, as we increasingly rely on machines to make decisions that impact humans, it is more important than ever. Remote and distributed work. It is no longer about companies surviving the pandemic. It's about offering flexible arrangements, valuing employees' times, and harnessing the potential of a global workforce. So workers returning to the office has been a theme of the past 12 months, but employers are also ensuring that they retain the ability to work with geographically dispersed teams and attract talent from anywhere in the world. For these reasons, we'll see a number of job postings with remote or hybrid locations remain, which will be well above pre-COVID levels. Now, some trends that we have control over include trends such as soft skills and the human touch. This we can control. As it becomes increasingly feasible to automate technical work, aspects of work, coding, research, or data management, for example, the ability to leverage soft skills for tasks that still require a human touch become critical. For this reason, we expect to see organizations increasing their investment in developing and nurturing skills and attributes such as emotional intelligence, communication, interpersonal problem solving, high-level strategy, and thought leadership. And we'll also look to hire people with such skills. Honing and developing these skills will be a huge asset. The skills solution. We've been hearing about the skills shortage for several years now. With the pandemic unwind, this has abated to a degree. However, changes in hiring practices emphasize selecting candidates with the specific experiences and skill needed for a role rather than qualities such as educational attainment or age, which are part of the industry's response. This will continue to be a strong trend. We will also continue to see increased investment in training and upskilling, particularly around disruptive technologies such as generative AI and skills that will be in demand in an AI-driven economy. So positioning yourself accordingly and being able to give a qualified thought and approach here will help. Finally, I'll leave you with one thought from a quote from Steve Jobs from Apple. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. For you to succeed, Jobs mentions, I'm convinced about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. So further, passion is an engine that will put perseverance into overdrive to think up big ideas, solve big problems, and make the world a better place. No passion, no perseverance. You can try, but without it, your tenacity will fizzle out because your heart's not in it. I believe this applies not just to entrepreneurship, but to anything that you do. Finally, each year we have seen some wonderful professors nominated for this award, and I'm sure this year is no exception. Vishalji shared the names of the three panel. So this, to me, is this whole ceremony, to me, is a small token of acknowledgement and appreciation for the hard work that the faculty have put in to create and put forth our next generation of leaders. And for this, we are all grateful and appreciative. So thank you very much, not just for the nominees, but to the entire IMT staff and faculty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing with us the life stories and vision of Shri Sharat Kumar. It is a privilege and an honor for every one of us to have with us today Shri Kamal Nath, Chief Mentor, IMT Group of Institutions, who has agreed to grace this occasion by presiding over the event. Honorable Shri Kamal Nath needs no introduction, and no introduction can do justice to Shri Kamal Nath's achievement and eminence as one of the tallest Indian political leaders, passionate educationalists, and philanthropists. He has been the longest serving parliamentarian since 1980 and has served as Union Cabinet Minister in multiple portfolios, including Commerce and Industry, Parliamentary Affairs, Urban Development, Road Transport and Highways, Textile, Environment and Forests, and others. He became the 18th Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh in December 2018. Despite his extremely busy engagements in various roles in government, Srinath always remained available to guide and mentor IMT in charting out its high growth path over the decades. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to him for taking time out of his busy schedule to be with us today. We thank him profusely for agreeing to grace this occasion with his presence. I request you, sir, to kindly share with us your thoughts on this auspicious occasion.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Are you getting the sound?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be with you here today, members, the director, members of the faculty, and all participants. It's a privilege for me to be participating in this because IMT as an institution stands as a beacon of excellence in management education, not just in India, but on the global stage. I remember many, many years ago, I think it was 3 decades ago, thinking that should an educational institution, academic institution, be only academic? And it was a difficult question. It was difficult because everybody thought of academic institution as academic-centric. So I said, no, we must have an institution which is academic-centric and business-centric, industry-centric. And that's what was the whole objective of IMT. I remember Mr. Sharat Kumar was not an academician when he took over as the director of the institute. He was a professional executive. And when I talked to him about it, he said, I've never been into academics. I've not taught. I do not know how I'll go about it. I said, it's your ideas I'm looking for. It's innovation I'm looking for. It's a different thought process. So there we closed that Mr. Sharat Kumar, a non-academician, would head an institute of management. This was the first institute in the country which had a non-academic as its chief executive, as its director. And it is that line, it is that thought which makes IMT what it is today. So Mr. Sharat Kumar, in the formative years of IMT, rolled in that direction to be able to steer IMT into an institution which was just not merely academic-centric. And I think the future also lies in IMT not being a mere academic institution. It is going to nurture. It's going to nurture new ideas. And new ideas don't barely come from the academics. I'm not underplaying the academics. Without the academics, there can't be any institution. But what is the direction we want to take the institute in? So much has changed in the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. I remember when I was environment minister in 1991 at the Earth Summit in Rio, that was what set the tone. Nobody talked of climate change. Climate change was something which was poetry, and forests were poetry. Conservation was poetry. Biodiversity was poetry. And I took the stand that the biggest challenge in the world is going to be climate change. Climate change, which includes biodiversity, forests, and so on and so forth. The United States practically booed me on this. And I had to say that the world's biggest polluter is sermonizing us on what is right for the globe and what's right for the world. And that rang the tone across, which led to various climate change agreements and treaties. We had the Montreal Protocol, then we went into the Kyoto Protocol, and I remember laying the foundations for this in various conferences. People would think that I was far too extreme. I wasn't extreme. I was realistic. And today, we have climate change as an issue confronting us all. We see the great changes which have come on the internet. This generation, which is now in class, has such an advantage. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, even 15 years ago, we did not have the kind of internet we have today. And it is this internet which is generated, which is driven e-learning, artificial intelligence. All these are challenges. Artificial intelligence, which has come into vogue in the last 2, 3, 4 years, is not only going to be constructive, it's also going to be destructive. So let's think of artificial intelligence as a boon. It's not merely a boon. It's how do we control artificial intelligence? How do we steer artificial intelligence towards so many other challenges which we have? We had a new phenomenon with COVID, work from home. Now you just can't start working from home. And I think IMT should also have a couple of courses or sessions on work from home. So you've got to be skilled to be working from home. You just cannot move from your office. It's possible, but how do you get the maximum mileage of work from home? This is going to be a challenge for the future. So we must at IMT look at some training of work from home. Work from home is going to get more into vogue, and it's getting more into vogue. It's something which was never thought of before COVID. So COVID has also led to a lot of things. COVID led to more research being done, technological changes. The technological changes which took place during COVID, artificial intelligence is one of them. Nowhere in that time span has such a great amount of technological changes which have taken place, where people would sit and innovate. And that led to so much more technological advantages. Well, I also want to say that we are proud of our alma mater. We got about 1,000 C-suite executives, 1,000 professionals who are making significant impact in leadership positions across the globe. And their legacy is an excellence, is a sign of their excellence of our institute. We gather here today to honor the memory of Shri Sharat Kumar, whose visionary leadership in his formative years. It's very important what happened in the formative years, because in the formative years, if you're not in the right direction, it will never succeed. So this award we instituted in 2020 is a fitting tribute to his contributions and IMT's commitment to excellence. I am proud that IMT today has worldwide recognition. So many professors have participated in conferences, have had their papers published, have contributed not merely in India, but also internationally. And IMT today is ranked as one of the top institutions. In conclusion, IMT Ghaziabad is just not an academic institution. And I'm going to end with saying the same thing I said in the beginning. No institution in today's context can be merely an academic institution. It's got to be academic-centric and industry and business-centric. Unless a student has a feel, has the touch of business and industry, all what he learns in the classroom cannot give him the same mileage it would do. So I want to congratulate the faculty, the students, and alumni for their continued success and for upholding the values of excellence and integrity that IMT stands for. So thank you very much again for inviting me to be with you here today. I have enjoyed it, and I look forward to participating again next year. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your observations and thoughts with us. Your constant guidance, mentorship, and wisdom are the greatest support for IMT. We will continue to look up to you as we endeavor to achieve greater heights. We are fortunate to have the Honorable Dr. Jitendra Das. Dr. Jitendra Das is currently the Director General, Foundation for Organizational Research and Education, New Delhi. Foundation for Organizational Research and Education was formed in 1981 by eminent personalities from the bureaucracy, public sector, industry, and academia. Today, FORE has personalities established itself as a center of excellence in management education, development research, and consultancy. Under FORE Foundation umbrella, FORE School of Management, FORE Academy of Management Education, and FORE Institute of Drone Technology and Research as independent verticals are contributing immensely to the society at large through various academic and allied activities. These verticals provide education in different fields, such as FAME offers undergraduate programs, FSM offers postgraduate programs, FIDTR offers drone pilot training. Dr. Das was director for School of Management, New Delhi from January 2010 to November 2022, and Director General for School of Management from November 22 to August 2023. He continues since November 22 as the Director General, Foundation for Organizational Research and Education, New Delhi. He was a professor of marketing and the founder dean of IIM Lucknow Noida campus, with a BTech and MTech both from IIT Delhi and a doctorate from the University of Toronto. He has to his credit many national and international publications. His total years of experience is over 42 years. He was a consultant to various departments and ministries of the Government of India, the World Bank, IDRC, GWB, Coal India, and lots more. As a professor of marketing, he taught courses at IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Kozhikode, and IIM Lucknow, and at the New Business School. Dr. Das has received numerous awards and honors. I request Dr. Das to please come up on the dais to address the present audience.
Thank you for the very generous introduction. I was really feeling humble. It's very rare that somebody talks so nicely about you. Thank you once again. Shri Kamalnathji, who's just addressed us, Dr. Vishal Talwar, Professor Anjali Malik, and Professor Rakesh Singh, who were with me on the dais, members of the faculty, staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a feeling of great pride and great honor bestowed upon me that I stand before you this afternoon to deliver this keynote address. I was given the privilege to choose the title, and I chose the title, The Evolving Role of Educators in Shaping Future Leaders. I thought this would be very appropriate considering the time that we are in and knowing that we would have students sitting in the audience. When I wrote this topic, I wanted to write the teachers. Then I said, no, educators. So the one question that strikes is, what is the difference between educator and a teacher, right? I did me a class situation, I would have asked this question and I wanted you to respond, but we can't do that now. So I'll straight away jump into the way we would like to look at educators and teachers. Very simply stated, I see teachers as a subset of educators. So teachers are, kind of formal way of interacting with you, teach you something. Education you can have from anyone. You can get educated by, let's say, your driver, people across the street. They can educate you. They can tell you something which you didn't know earlier, right? So they do educate you. If you understand, that's education to me, right? So the teacher is a subset of educator. That's how I look at it. You may choose to have your own way of defining it. So therefore, broadly stated, the teachers the educators would encompass the researchers, the organizers, like Dr. Shri Kamalnathji, the chief mentor is a educator, right? You'll have the informal teachers, the people across the street who might give you some tips, and the formal teachers. They are the teachers which you know all the time. Now, if you look at or reflect upon yourself, who were your teachers, from the time you were born? So, we are very familiar with the term, your mother is your first teacher, right? So mother teaches you a lot of things as you grow up in the family. You learn a lot from your father. You will learn a lot from your siblings, brothers and sisters, your friends in the personal space. Then you come to the college. School, I don't count as, in that sense, a formal way. You come to the college and you have friends in your college and you learn a lot through the friends in your college. And even a student who has been here for 1 year can easily reminisce how much he or she has learned in that 1 year from your friends in all aspects of life. So never undermine these educators, these friends who end up teaching you something. So I would like to call these learnings as informal teaching, right? And it is very easy for me to reflect on my own early part of learning experiences as I grew up in my life and career. And some of these learnings can be life turning events for you. You may not realize that these are the life turning events, but later in time, something happens and you go back into that particular episode, and then you realize, oh my God, because of that particular thing, I actually changed my behavior unconsciously. And I'm getting to feel about it now because of a similar situation happening. And then you reconnect with the past situation, and then you take it as a learning. Now, I would like to share one experience. She introduced me, having done my bachelor's from IIT Delhi. This way back in 1974 when I joined IIT Delhi. I don't think any of you here would have been born at that point of time. So those were the days when ragging used to be there on campus. Fortunately for us in IIT, the ragging used to be only mental, no physical ragging. Nothing would be done physically to you, but they do talk to you in very nasty ways and sometimes very interesting ways, sometimes very frustrating ways, and they force you to think and force you to speak things. So this is one episode that happened with me and some of my friends in the early days of my ragging time, which used to be 30 days from the day one of the start of the semester. So 30 days, it'll end, completely end. Absolutely nothing after 30. There's a discipline that was maintained. Until 30 days, you have to address all your seniors as sir and bow before you see any one of them and bid as you are told. The simplest of all ragging, and we used to experience it. So I joined, entered the campus in the hostel lunchtime. So that day was okay. And then this new guy, first year, first day, don't do anything, let him, settle down. And the next evening, which is my day two, a senior caught hold of me, and they typically catch you after you return from your classes, and you stay with that guy or his friends until they leave you, which is typically around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night. And then you go to sleep, and 8 o'clock morning, you're supposed to be back in the classroom for attending classes. So that's how it used to be the initial few days. So this guy catches hold of me and then he'll take you around for dinner. You have dinner with them, it's very nice. And after dinner, we walked around and then he brought me to his room, the 3, 4 of us. And this one guy in the senior, he looks at me and others, and he does this with a finger in a very aggressive way. He says, I hope all of you understand Hindi. Anyone who doesn't understand Hindi, please raise your hand. No, so good. So I'll use some terms. It's best explained by Hindi. You can't translate it in other language. So this guy looks at us and he shouts at us and says, "Tum sab kide ho, kide." And he does this in a very nasty way. When you hear yourself being called as a kida, right, you feel the anger coming in you. Oh, how dare you call like this? You're very angry. And then he says, "Tum sab kitabi kide ho." So anger goes down slightly. Oh, kitabi kide, that's okay, that's fine. So he says, "Sab kitabi kide ho." And then he says, "कीड़े मसले जाते हैं." Understand? मसले जाते हैं, that crushed. कीड़े मसले जाते हैं. तुम सब कीड़े हो. तुम सबको आदमी बनना होगा. Right? So we listen to that, says okay. And then he says, "क्या आदमी बनना चाहते हो?" Yes, आदमी बनना चाहते हैं. So then he says, you understand one thing. If you stay as a kira, you'll always be squeezed. If you are a man, that squishing thing would be a little less. Agree? Yes, agree. It's all logical. And then he says, for you to become admi, you have to practice how to become a admi. Is that okay with you? Yes. Then he says, कि कोई तुमको अगर चाटा मारेगा तो तुम क्या करोगे? We are quiet. तो अगर तुम भी उसको चाटा मारोगे तो दोबारा चाटा मारने के पहले वो सोचेगा. Right or wrong? He says, right. तो तुमको भी वैसे ही बनना पड़ेगा so that you are not squeezed. Agree? This is agreed. And then he says that you must become like the world. Agree? Agree. And this is like the world means what? People would abuse you. तुम सब किताबी कीड़े हो, अच्छे घर से पढ़ाई करके आए हो, दुनियादारी की चीजें तुम्हें कुछ नहीं मालूम। अब यहाँ पे अच्छा, ऑल गाइज आर टॉपर टाइप, हाँ, तुम लोग अच्छे अच्छे नंबर लेके आए हो, यहाँ पे तुमको सी ग्रेड मिलेगा, डी ग्रेड मिलेगा, यू शुड नो हाउ टू हैंडल योरसेल्फ, सुसाइड नहीं करने का, यहाँ सुसाइड भी होता है। सो अब हम तुमको टर्न अराउंड करेंगे, यू बिकम स्ट्रॉन्ग। Agree? We all say yes, agree, sir. And then he says that for that to happen in you, you must become like the street man. You guys are not like the street guys. You understand that? Yes, sir. And then he says, okay, after he does all that, he makes us agree, agree, agree. And then he says, you repeat after me at the highest of your voice. Agreed? I say, yes, sir. And he lets out an abusive word at the top of his voice, and we are all quiet. And you know, that's the time you start thinking कि मैंने जिंदगी में क्या पाप किए थे जो ये समय देखना पड़ रहा है मुझे. And then he shouts back, you have to become a man, you repeat that. And 4-5 बार वो सब होता है, then you know, so the episode ends. You become a man later on, right? So much later, you know, rather in the same night when I was sleeping, I was not able to sleep. It's a day 2. This year, kya culture hai yahan ka, you know, how people behave, and it's not the right thing. But at the same time, I had this little thing coming in my mind. Actually, he was telling me, you have to be strong. No, you have to be assertive. You have to be aggressive if required, if you want to survive in this world. ना इतना वो मैसेज मेरे को दे दिया, मैंने कहा चलो ठीक है, that's okay. So you know, in a semi-informal way, that's the learning I had from a senior, 2 years senior to me, that if you want to survive in your life, you have to be like one of these. You cannot be like a very formal and structured way dealing with the complexities of the world. So that's how things are, and you need to understand this and change yourself accordingly. So this thing stayed with me for a long, long time until now, because I cannot forget the first statement when he says, "Tum sab keede ho." The way he said it, I still remember his face, still remember the way he said it. So you know, only later you realize, well, actually, he did teach me something, right? Despite all ragging that you might say. So now let's look at the teachers, the impact they have when you go to little formal space, and the role teachers and the students have in the entire schema of learning experience. We are all too familiar with the story of Dronacharya and Arjuna, right? Arjuna was a great disciple of Dronacharya. He could see the eye of the fish, and he could, you know, pierce it with his arrow, just like a perfect man. We also know the story of Eklavya. Familiar with Eklavya? The Eklavya's shadow guru was Dronacharya. I call it shadow guru. Arjun's guru was Dronacharya. Eklavya's shadow guru was Dronacharya. Let's not go into what happened with the thumb and all that. But Eklavya became a better you know, archer than Arjun based on the thing that he had done with the dog, right? Now, what is the learning here? You don't need to have a teacher to attain perfection, right? So Eklavya actually didn't have a teacher, right? He became a perfect archer. So you don't need a teacher to become perfect. And this is very relevant in the current times. We'll come to that a little later. Okay. Now, if you look at other examples of this, Gautam Buddha, you know, he's God, treated like a god. He was a prince. He grew up. He went to Gurukul. He learned whatever was taught to him. He got married. He had a son. And then one fine night, he decides to leave the family. And he, you know, wanders around for, I think, 12 years or something until he attained Nirvana, Bodhisattva Gyan, right? And he became first a sage, and later people equated him of being a god. Who was his teacher? None. So how did he become, or how did he attain that level of knowledge? Think about it. Okay, if you read his history, he had a question. Nobody could answer that question. So he wanted to know the answer of that question, right? So while seeking answer to that question, he became so deeply involved in that seeking tendency that you know, he forgot the world. And we call it, he was into deep meditation, he was into living the worldly things, and ultimately he attained nirvana. So that knowledge came to him through his own mind, right? Through his own brain. There's no one else who was telling him something, you do this, you do that, right? So essentially what I'm trying to say here is, in the entire learning experience that we are here for, as a student you're there for, we are as a professor, we want to impart that knowledge to you. The role of student is very important. The Eklavya story, right? He became a very good archer. Gautam Buddha story, he became a god without a teacher. So you need to understand, right? So without a good student, a teacher also cannot be a good teacher. Dronacharya is known because of Arjuna. Had there been no Arjuna, nobody would have known Dronacharya. So the teacher also attains that fame because of a famous student. The IMT is getting known so well elsewhere because your alumni are doing so well. That's how it is. So we need to understand. So the role of students can never be undermined. And that's the important part of the learning experience. So essentially, the ability to see a question in this, ability to seek answer to a question, right? And then the focus and concentration, and that's it. And in the today's world, actually, you don't need a teacher. You can pick up all that information, okay? I'll give you 2-3 examples from my personal life, which actually turned the way I see the world, okay? You have teachers coming into class, they teach you something, you look at the course perspective, and that's about it. But sometimes there are some teachers who do something, and if you think a little beyond that particular course, you look at the world very differently. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples, small examples. This is at IIT Delhi, Professor Satsangi, electrical engineering. He was teaching us systems engineering stroke systems management. So first day, first session, he comes in, enters the class, and he says, how many of you are non-vegetarian? So hands went up. It's okay. All the hands not up. Are you all vegetarian? So raise your hand. So hands went up. 2, 3 hands went up. Vegetarian. And as a student, you're sitting there. It's like, ये systems engineering class हो रही है. ये chicken weekend, the non-veg की बात कर रहे हैं. And then it's okay. Why I ask you this question is because I'm going to give you a story of a chicken farm. So people who are vegetarians, if you feel bad about it, you're free to leave the class. Okay? Because I'll be talking about chicken. So the class went silent, nobody left. So okay, that's fine. So I have okay to discuss chicken, right? And then on the blackboard, he goes and he draws a chicken, right? And then it's okay. So what does the chicken do? What does the chicken do? So, well, it'll eat something. It's okay, it'll eat something. So he drew a circle around chicken, and then he drew a circle, he'll eat, this chicken will eat something. Okay, so how much will this eat? Put an arrow there, and this is okay, and then he does it. And then like this, he kept building the blocks on the blackboard. And he had this entire complex set of flowchart kind of thing where arrows going this way, arrows going that way. And then finally put a big box across. And he said, this is the city, the share. The city, everything is within the city. All the feed is coming within the city. All the chicken product, egg, feather, meat, everything is consumed within the city. So he said, this is an open system, the farm thing. And now this is a closed system because nothing is coming in, nothing is going out, right? And so we understood this with amazement that looks such a chicken thing. And he's made such a complex chart on the blackboard. So, as a student, you just keep, mincing your eyes like this, ki ye kya ho gaya yaar? What is this? And this gives you an insight. And then all these arrows, then, it's an engineering kind of a thing. He put a number alpha 1, alpha 2. I said, alpha 1 kya hoga? Ki ek chicken kitna khayega yahan se? Phir alpha 1 ke alpha 2 se kya relationship hoga? Phir alpha 1, alpha 2, so the output from the chicken is meat and egg. What is the impact on the output of alpha 1 into this? So he wrote some equations. So therefore he said, okay, that's how you look at the chicken farm. And open system and closed system. Right? And then he asks us a question after he's done all this. He says that our earth, you familiar with earth? Okay, we know what is our earth. So then he says, our earth is a closed system or an open system. Right? So all of us said it's a closed system. Mentally it's a closed system. There's nothing else which is going out, going in. This is anyone disagreeing with this? No hands went up. They said, you all guys are stupid. Absolutely stupid. Where is your sun? Sun means Surya. And then, I raised my hand. This is Ab Gyan Khula. After my telling you, we have a sun ray coming in. So we are, if you look at it from that perspective, we are not in a closed system. We are an open system. We get energy from there. So this way of looking at open system and closed system got etched. So after that, whenever you go around, see anything, go to the canteen, you start thinking, iska kya closed system hai aur kya open system hai? Kya hota hai, kaise hota hai? So if you do this, how would that impact somewhere else? Thinking goes in that direction. If increase one more person, what would be the impact elsewhere? Right? And this changes the entire way you do things. It goes into your study, practices, your eating, your playing, anything and everything, and stays with me till date. Okay. There's another professor. This is in University of Toronto. This is a single criterion decision making. It's completely mathematics, right? It's hardcore mathematics, Bayesian, probability theory and all that. One particular example he set in the exam, we had a lot of formulation there, and it stuck with me. He says in the class that, he was describing a particular problem, and there's a bus with 30 passengers traveling. And then he says he meets with an accident. Out of 30 people, 10 people die, and 20 survive. So the news item says the bus with 30 people meet with an accident and 10 people die. Okay? Class is okay? So, okay. Another newspaper says bus with 30 passengers traveling, it meets with an accident, 20 people survive. Okay? Okay. Other two news different from each other? The guy says, no, they are the same. I don't know. How can they be same? The words are different. They have to be different. So on the words part, we say they are different. Then he says to this is our engineering guys, maths weird hote hain, that the mind works differently. When you look at this news, 30 passengers, 10 people die, your mind would think differently. When 20 people survive, mathematically both are exactly the same thing. So 30 figure is given, 10 is given, die. 30 is given, 20 survive. The mathematics is the same thing. But the way you think is different. So what he was trying to tell us in engineering and mathematics, the kind of information you have, the way it comes to you, the way you take action afterwards would depend on your own worldview, how you look at the whole thing. Right? So being a hardcore mathematics course, he made us, at least me, think, no, there's something more to this than the numbers. If you start accepting there's a more to this than the numbers, your view undergoes a change, massive change. So these are some examples which made me think very differently. And when we are looking at this particular topic, educators shaping the future leaders, when we say educators changing the future leaders, what exactly would this mean? What would the educators do? So the way I see it, that educators therefore must be in the future. Okay, because if they are not in the future, they cannot show you the new path. Right? Physically they are here, but mentally they are in the future. So if they are in the future, they can see the future, they can give you proper guidance that do this, don't do this. Okay? So educators' role become very important in shaping your future. So while you as a student have to be like Eklavya and Gautam Buddha, to take yourself to that level, but at the same time, educators have also to play its role in understanding how things is likely to be, because they are supposed to be more, within quotes, learned, more experienced. They are better placed to see the future. If they are not able to see the future, they can't really give you or show you the path. So therefore, the teachers also have to be in the future, and that has a very important implication in the current times. So when you say in the future, teachers must in future, how do we understand this in practical terms? Now, let me give you another term, which I think we are all familiar with, Sone ki Chidiya. You're familiar with this term, Sone ki Chidiya? The Sone ki Chidiya was in the context of India being very rich, right? So now India being very rich, Sone ki Chidiya, were there any role of the educators in making India Sone ki Chidiya? Yes, no. You need to think about it. Could India have become Sone ki Chidiya without educators playing a role? We don't know the answer. But then you look at the educators' situation at that point of time. Okay, I'll give you a answer to that. So, for example, those days, there are a lot of path-breaking research were being done, path-breaking books were being written. You must be familiar with things like Bhrigu Sanghita, right? The planetary motion horoscope that you have, is the Bhrigu Sanghita, written way back, I think 5th century AD or something like that. Charak Sanghita, about the medicine and the surgery, also 5th century AD, around that time it's written. So it was written. Now, how does that play its role in India becoming Sone ki Chidiya? Okay, in a moment it looks very different, but I'll give you another example. We are familiar with calculus, So the calculus is credited with the development of calculus is a science part of mathematics to Newton and Leibniz. Those who have studied statistics, Leibniz theorem, blah, blah, blah. So Newton and Leibniz is the one who have been credited with development or discovery of calculus. Now, there is a book by Dr. George Georges Joseph called The Crest of the Peacock, Non-European Roots of Mathematics. In this book, he writes that around 7th century AD, the Kerala School of Mathematics had Madhavacharya, sage Madhava. It's called Madhavacharya of Sanghagrama and his disciples. In that era, they have written mathematical treatise books which talks of infinite series, okay, which talks of trigonometric functions, which are the founding base for calculus. So this author says that, and it's in the UK library, is already there. He says, don't credit calculus to Newton or Leibniz. Credit this to Madhavacharya. Okay, so that's the story part, right? Now, this was done around 7th century. Now, you go back into our temples, particularly now in the south. Some of the temples are so intricate that people still wonder how they could have done it. For example, there is a temple in the Thanjavur, Brihadeshwari Shiva temple. It is said that throughout the year, the shadow of the temple is never seen on the ground. Now, physically, theoretically, it's possible. You need to know the shadow pattern, right? And then design the structure in a way that shadow always falls within the base, right? Somebody must have done the calculation. And without trigonometric functions and calculus, you couldn't do that. This temple is 11th century AD, right? So therefore, you may try or say it has link to Madhava's infinite series and the trigonometric functions. So when the temples are being made, does it contribute to the economy of the area? It does, because temples are made for centuries, decades. So because of the science available, a lot of economic activity will happen. Mathematician gives you a theory, but some businessman, some king, whosoever wants to actually do it on the ground. And any activity you do means you're paying wages, you're buying material, and you're doing all that. So it's economic activity. So we had that kind of environment those days, which led India to become Sone ki Chidiya. So unless and until you have good educators in the country, you can never attain that kind of a status, right? So be aware that educators have a very, very big role in all this. I'd like to give you a few quotes of some of the very famous people on education, and we try to relate it to our own being in the current times. There's one by Nelson Mandela. He says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Maybe because of his situation in South Africa, use the word weapon, but he says the most powerful weapon. There's another by A guy called Edward Bulwark Lytton, and you're all familiar with this, says the pen is mightier than the sword. Right? How can a pen be mightier than a sword? So if you look slightly deeper, then you understand the import of this, the meaning behind this. So when you say pen is mightier than the sword, what does it mean? Intellect. Intellect means education. And therefore, you go into the equation of discipline of the teacher, right? We have another one by Swami Vivekananda. He says, the only way to bring the masses out of darkness is to educate them. Right? That is Swami Vivekananda. So education is being considered important. And the fourth one, the last one on the quote by Adi Sankaracharya, he says, Jnanam Paramam Balam. In English, knowledge is supreme strength. Now, see this quote in the light of what Mukesh Ambani of Reliance said. Information is the new oil. You heard of that? So it is almost like Jnanam Paramam Balam. You have information, you're rich, or you have information, you are powerful. Okay. So to fructify these quotes, the teachers have to come in. You have to play a role. Sone ki Chide, we try to briefly explain. We have the knowledge, it translates into the society, translates into economic activity. And when that happens in a larger scale, larger perspective across the country, then there is a economic prosperity. Okay. So when you take ourselves to the current times where we are today, how does the role of educator be seen in the current times? What is happening? So briefly stated, you could say the teachers are faced with massive technological changes happening by the day. And because of that, massive shifts in the societal needs. What students need today in the classroom is different than what it used to be, say, 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and maybe you could say 1 year ago, right? So you need to be aware as an educator that this is how things are changing. The teaching pedagogy is changing because of this. The newer ways are available. So you teach, for example, ChatGPT. Now, some of the professors are trying to integrate ChatGPT-based search or whatever into their teaching. How do you do that? What would be the learning there? So you need to be aware how the teachers can look into that. So role of teachers have to be evolved in sync with these changes that is happening in the environment. We say that all the information is available on the Google or ChatGPT. You ask anything, it is available. So if everything is available, what does the teacher do? Or what does the educator do? Right? That's a big question. A lot of people say you're using a slide in the classroom and the guys in the back sitting there are searching for that slide somewhere. And they figure out that the slide that you're using is actually available somewhere. And they start sharing funny information among each other. Ki, yaar, ye to copy kiya hua hai, They start deriding the teachers sometimes. It happens, right? I'll give you another personal example, the interpretation of this. A long time back, I had to go to a homeopathy doctor personally. So I went to the doctor with my symptom. So he looked at it and he's okay. And he asked me a few questions. They have odd questions. Na? Dhoop acha lagta hai, chhaya acha lagta hai, garam pani se nahana acha lagta hai, thanda pani, all that. He asked all that. And he looked at the symptom. And then he pulled out a thick book, very thick book, this thick book. Okay. And then he started turning pages. And he'll turn page and he'll scribble something, then turn another page, scribble something. Sometimes he'll see the index and figure out something. He was doing all that. And then he wrote the prescription after that. Okay. And then he said, this is a trial medicine for 7 days. You come back after 7 days, then I'll give you, change the medication. The few of them are just to check, whatever. So I said, okay. When I came back the first visit, I was thinking, kaisa doctor hai? Ye to kitab padh ke dawai likh raha hai. You normally don't expect that to happen. So anyway, that's okay. A few months later, I was cured, I was fine. And then one day, it suddenly dawned upon me that if I have that book with me, can I write that prescription? I cannot. If you were to give me that book, I cannot write a prescription. So where is the gap between that particular book and the person who's capable of writing that prescription? There has to be something more, or rather there has to be a lot more. right? So now you equate this to a Google environment. You have everything on the Google, everything on the ChatGPT, right? Can you come up with knowledge? Can you come up with a solution to a problem which has been stated? There's something that has to be filled in, right? So teachers have to come in. So teachers cannot operate at the what is called the knowledge, the information level. Information is available. The book is there. Google is there. ChatGPT is there. So how does educators evolve themselves to go beyond information level? And if you have studied data science or data management subjects, you always have the first step is data. Then you have the information, right? A set of data in a particular order is information. And that information, next stage is knowledge, right? And what comes after knowledge? Wisdom, okay? So you have a lot of data, put it together in a certain order, information. A lot of information, put it together in a more complex way, that means knowledge. And you have a lot of knowledge and goes beyond, and then that gives you the wisdom. So once the students or anyone have all the information available, how do you teach a student? You have to operate at the knowledge level. Knowledge, who needs to have that knowledge? The educator needs to have that knowledge. So you need to upgrade yourself to a level where your thinking, your ability to have a discourse is much beyond the ChatGPT level, much beyond the Google information level. So this is where you need to, as a teacher, need to look at as to what I need to be doing. So therefore, the educators must adapt themselves to the new technology, the diverse learning and the teaching methods, understand and meet the demand of global situations, because we are all global now. And what is happening in the US, you would know. So teachers have to keep themselves abreast of those kinds of situations. And in this context, there is a very famous quote by Malcolm X, who says, education is the passport to the future. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Okay? So understand the import of this. Education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So if you can do it yourself, become a Gautam Buddha, you don't need a teacher. All of us cannot become Gautam Buddha. So you need a mentor. Okay? So teacher, therefore, or educator, therefore, have to also evolve to fit into the requirement of the discipline. So a teacher is different than, let's say, the educator is different than a teacher, so to speak, and a mentor is different than a teacher. The roles are different, right? So figure out how I need to reincarnate myself as an educator to meet the requirements of my disciple. Just to give you a special different example, when I teach marketing. So let's say a professor, Professor Abhigyan Sarkar, Faculty of Marketing, right? No, that's okay. So in marketing domain, so you're teaching, let's say, a marketing subject or a branding, and you discuss anything and everything in branding without any reference to the impact of social media on people. This would be trash, right? So therefore, when you're teaching, it cannot be disconnected with the current technology environment or the current requirement of the students who are the target group, or current requirement of the target group. So that target group understanding is very important, and you need to look at from that perspective. So essentially, the educators must explore their role also as a mentor and innovator, because you need to go to the future. So you need to see yourself as a mentor, as a innovator, and maybe sometimes people say community leader. So community leader within the domain of academics, so what kind of leadership you show in community. Like a lot of teachers want to ask you to do some special research for the local areas, teaching village kids, or trying to do a research for local shops and learn out of this. So essentially, objective being preparing the students to face complexities and challenges of life, which goes beyond the classroom. So you must go beyond the classroom and make them, understand these life learning experiences, which can be done outside the classroom. So what it essentially means that the teachers must find themselves to be and adopt the innovative teaching methods. They develop new curricula, find creative way to engage students meaningfully, uh, experiment with different styles of teaching, and provide diverse pathways to knowledge. Just a PPT or a discussion may not be enough. So you need to figure out different ways of teaching your students. I'll give you a last quote. I'm running out of time. This is by Albert Einstein. It's very interesting, and it has stayed with me for a long time. His quote is, "Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think." Now you relate this to the Google environment. Okay, facts is a set of information. So not just about that. You need to think. So educator's role is to ensure that my students, my discipline, end up thinking about it. So you pose a question, don't give them answers. I have had experience in my classroom where there's a business case going on and you ask a question. The longest I have stayed quiet is 2 minutes. I always have my wristwatch outside when I ask a question. You ask a question and the class goes silent. I also remain silent. And after 30 or 40 seconds, I'll repeat that question. It's a pin drop silence. If you were to drop a paper, it'll make a noise. It's almost like that. So the longest that I have clocked is 2 minutes. Silence, no answer. Then you give a clue. And then one guy slowly raises his hand, right? And then you get into a discussion. So asking a question is very important because what is happening here? You think. So half the guys in the classroom actually shut off. They're not thinking at all. They're waiting for someone else to answer, right? But half the guys are actually paying attention. But still, they're not able to figure out the answer, right? You assume that, half, right? So this is where the learning happens when you force them to think. So in a nutshell, this, in my view, is the mantra for educators. That is the Einstein's quote. The education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. We should keep that as a mantra for educators and figure out how do I ensure the thinking part. So in nutshell, we must understand that students themselves have to play a big role in shaping themselves to meet the new challenges. Educators have to be ahead of the time to be able to show a new path. Educators must focus on how to impart knowledge and wisdom to students rather than sharing information. PPT is not good enough, right? So all the other specific points are actually encapsulated in these 3 bullet points. The students have to understand, they have to work very hard. Educators have to be informed and think ahead, be in the future. And educators must keep thinking, how do I impart knowledge and wisdom to our students? With these words, I would like to thank Dr. Talwar and the organizers for inviting me here. And I also like to congratulate Professor Bigyan Sarkar, Professor Ashwin Verma, and Professor Gurmeet Singh for being nominated for this Sharat Kumar Outstanding Professor Award. These are, in my view, a landmark achievement for you. I know only one of you would actually get it, but getting nominated, it is in itself a very a big thing. Because, I remember I was once nominated for an award in University of Toronto, right? I didn't get it, but they could not give it to anyone else. They didn't give it to me. I'm an Indian brown guy. They had never given it to others. They're racist, bottom line. I've seen them closely. So they couldn't give it to anyone else because I was watching. No one could match my whatever profile. So then I learned they canceled that award that day, right? So the 3 of you keep your hopes alive. Right? And I'm sure the one who gets it would feel happier And those, the two who don't get it, should still feel very happy about it. And I don't know whether they would announce number 2 or number 3, but that doesn't matter. Being nominated is in itself a very big thing. I'm not fully aware of the processes followed to get the nomination, but I'm sure whatever process is being followed. So you three have been profiled as someone who's fitting into the role of being a good professor, right? So from now onwards, you need to, I'm sure you would be doing it, but slightly tweak it up towards the, being in the future. No, you need to be in the future. You don't be in the present time. So more you're in the future, you're a better place to give or show a new path to your students. And is then the students will remember you for the rest of your life. As I remember Professor Satsangi and Professor Baid from University of Toronto, who have made such an impact. One example I did not give for paucity of time, a professor. They're absolutely top class guys in terms of imparting knowledge to you. So thank you once again, and I enjoyed my being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Das, for your insightful words. I'm sure all our Eklavyas out there would have learned a lot from these examples. So, as Robert Hutchins suggests, education is not to reform students or amuse them, or to make them expert technicians. It is to unsettle their minds, widen their horizons, inflame their intellects, and teach them to think straight if possible. These words resonate even louder in the present context, when the learning processes are facing tremendous challenges because of both greater and faster levels of technological interventions in teaching learning processes, and also for unending challenges emerging out of uncertainties. IMT is an institute who have always been able to predict these challenges from way ahead and has risen up to those like a phoenix. And that has been possible for its teachers, who are inspired and driven by themselves to innovate and expand their methods of teaching. So, to celebrate these achievements of the teachers and also to motivate others, IMT Ghaziabad launched 4 years back this coveted teaching award named after the former director, the late Shri Sharat Kumarji. This award is in commemoration of his contributions to augmenting academic processes at IMT Ghaziabad at its growing up stage. I request Dr. Vishal to please announce the recipient of the 4th Shri Sharat Kumar Memorial Award for the Best Teaching Professor, and also request Dr. Das to join us on the dais. Thank you. We also welcome Professor Rakesh Singh and Professor Anjali to be on the stage. Thank you.
This is giving the impression of reality TV and stuff like that. But I think no matter how much we would hate to do it, something, okay. Professor Jui is, giving complete moral support to Professor Abhigyan as well. So, like I said, I think yeah, we hate to do it, but there's a bit of a classification. Till year before last was essentially one individual, and from last year onwards, we thought more people should participate and be on the platform, and encourage many more. So I think without further ado, I would like to quickly. We've learned this from a lot of gaming, shows. Should we? So the second runner-up, in a way, this is not a wrestling contest. This is not. This is essentially, one learner to the other, right? Dr. Abhigyan is the second runner-up. And we won't let you go till you say something. So you got to formulate that in the mind. Congratulations. This is Dr. Abhigyan. Thank you. Congratulations. Would you like to say something?
I'm so thrilled.
I cannot say much. I mean, I'm so thrilled that I didn't expect this at all. And I must thank the whole IMT family. I dedicate this to my loving daughter, my parents, my wife, and whole IMT, and including my students who somehow found that the way I am teaching is actually helping them in building their career. That's all. I just want to keep it up in future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So he started with daughter, then parents, and then Juhi was wondering what's happening here. Yeah, बाद में आप देख लेना फिर. The first runner-up is Dr. Gurmeet Singh.
Good evening, everyone. Take a 2 minutes, sir. I'm overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude now. So probably I'd like to thank our director, sir, to Dean, sir, Professor Amit Sareen, Professor Rakesh Singh, sir, Professor Anjali Malik, ma'am. I would also like to thank Barnali, ma'am, Gunjan, ma'am, OM faculty members and faculty members of other area. I would also like to thank the staffs and officers of the community. And of course, very special thanks to my very favorite students. You only bring actually, thank you. You bring that energy to the class and you're responsible for taking the discussions to another level. Thank you all. I wish you all a very happy learning. Thank you.
मैं पीछे खड़ा था. Did you mention your wife at all?
I'll thank them later.
This is to be noted. Thank you. I don't know whether you guessed. Dr. Ashir Rama, please. He gets the Outstanding Teaching Professor Award. Thank you so much for all your contributions so far.
Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for this honor, of course, and many congratulations to Abhigyan and Gurmeet. You are very close friends of mine. Thank you to all my students for the respect, the love that you have given me over the years. That's the fuel that keeps us running. Thank you to all my professors, friends who are here for all the conversations. Thank you to all the staff for making us in the equilibrium and manage. Without your support, it's just not possible. And of course, all my co-authors, all my colleagues who are not here, I am truly grateful to you for helping me in my journey, and I stand committed to just paying it forward. Thank you so much, everyone.
So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Das. Thank you for making the time over here. And thank you to the organizing team, Sudha ma'am, Alicia, Indrajit, and everybody else who's responsible for making sure everything goes immaculately. Thank you, everyone.
So I request Dr. Vishal Talwar to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Das. I'm sure that none of us would like these moments to come to an end. That too, when we have such acclaimed dignitaries among us. Yet, as all good things must come to an end, so this evening. Hence, I request our Associate Dean Academics, Professor Rakesh Singh, to please give us vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks on behalf of IMT Ghaziabad at this prestigious Shri Sharat Kumar Memorial Award Ceremony for Best Teaching Professor 2024. First and foremost, I would like to express our deep gratitude to our chief mentor, Shri Kamalnath ji, for his guidance and support. Sir, your vision and dedication has continuously inspired us to strive for excellence in our teaching and learning processes. Your speech today has further reinforced our commitment. Thank you very much for being a beacon of knowledge and wisdom for our academic community. A special thank you to Shri Rahul Kumar ji. Your support has not only made this event possible, but also contributed significantly to our mission of fostering academic excellence. We are truly grateful for your continued support. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Jitendra Das. Sir, your presence today has added immense value to this occasion. We are deeply appreciative of the time and effort you have taken to join us and share your invaluable insights, especially for educators like us. Some of your ideas that you gave today are really, really valuable. To our director, Dr. Vishal Talwar, thank you for your leadership and dedication. Your speech today was a perfect reflection of your passion and commitment to academic excellence. Finally, I would like to thank all the students, faculty, officers, staff members who have attended and participated in this ceremony. Your enthusiasm and support are what make our institute a vibrant and dynamic place to learn and grow. In closing, let's take a moment to appreciate the hard work and dedication of our awardees today. A round of applause for all three professors here. So, indeed, your excellence in teaching is a shining example to us all. And we look forward to continuing this journey of learning and growth together. Thank you all once again.
I request Professor Ashish, Professor Abhigyan, and Professor Gurmeet to come on stage for a group photo. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule, joining us for this momentous ceremony, and sharing your experiences and thoughts. I wish you all a very good day ahead.